Raw from last night, March 31st, 2025. I'm going to tell you why, for whatever reason, this Mania just feels lackluster. Tune in to this episode of Screw the Script to find out why I feel that way. Last night's Raw just honestly made me feel like this WrestleMania is lackluster compared to the last two now. My main reasons are this. Well, start off with how Raw started last night with another John Cena promo and then eventually Cody Rhodes as well. And I know Cody's the face in this and Cena's the heel for the first time in 20 years, but that has been the most interesting part about this entire storyline. And short storyline, may I add, because it's really been only going on for, 5 weeks before WrestleMania. We got, 2 more weeks left, I think, until Mania. So not even 2 full months building to your main feud, basically, going into this year's WrestleMania. And it honestly feels like it almost feels identical to last year's Mania, except the roles are reversed. Cody is champ versus going for the title. Instead of The Rock and Roman, it's John Cena that is the heel. And once again, I truly feel like Cody Rhodes, and now I like Cody Rhodes. He's good in the ring, but I've expressed plenty of times before, I think he's stale on the mic. I think he's the same rinse, wash, repeat, my dad, these people, this arena, and we saw it again last night. His only good dig on Cena was, and it wasn't even accurate, for one, and I'll tell you why. His only good dig on Cena was that he mentioned, I forget how he worded it exactly, but something along the lines of, I was picked by the fans, you weren't. You were handpicked by a guy that we don't talk about anymore in WWE. Obviously alluding to Vince, but that's not even entirely true because, yes, he was picked by Vince early on, but he made himself who he is. He was pretty stale early on until he started rapping on the mic. And they're like, you know what? We have something here. He made himself. Cena has made himself his entire career, going from the Doctor of Thugonomics in the early 2000s to his big face turn in about 2007, 8, somewhere around there, maybe 2006. And the rest is history. He is the reason why WWE got as big as it did. I feel like he's a huge chunk of that over the last 2 decades. Cody Rhodes isn't, and it's the truth. Whereas, and that was it. That's all Cody really had. That and some, dick joke that, haha, like this isn't middle school. Like, if you think that Cody beat Cena, I guess you can say maybe he held his own, but I even think that is kind of, that's saying too much. I don't even think he really held his own. I've been Team Cena, like I've expressed in the last couple of videos, or maybe 3 videos ago, I think it was actually, where I mentioned that. And this doesn't change it at all. If anything, this makes it more obvious to me that I'm Team Cena because of all the facts that he's given are true. I've said before, I was one of those Cena haters. I do blame him partly, if not most of the reason why WWE went to PG, which I've expressed before I don't like. I don't like the PG era. I really have never liked the PG era. I've gotten used to it. I've accepted it, but I don't love it. And so for him to come out a few weeks back when he cut that really good promo towards the fans, I was like, you know what? Truth hurts sometimes. And you know what? I'm on your side for once. And I am. And last night's promo, it was so one-sided. John Cena cooked him. And here's a couple of examples on how he just obliterated Cody in this feud. So I have 2 snippets I just want to share. We all watched it last night, but these are the two big ones that I think that just honestly like proved that, I'm Team Cena and proved that Cena is once again carrying a feud in WWE for the main title, going for his record-breaking title if he wins against Cody. Here's the first one right there. and I'm just going to read it off my laptop. This is a shorter one, but he, quote, said, "They've been saying for years, John Cena buries talent. I don't bury talent. I am talent. I bury mediocrity," which is, honestly true. You think back to a lot of his feuds, only the greats that have stuck around from those great feuds. All those other meaningless, smaller feuds that he's had in his, over 2 decade long career, a lot of those guys are gone. And because he's right, they were mediocre. Cody Rhodes, honestly, earlier in his career, not saying now, so let me preface that before I say what I'm about to say next. Early on in Cody Rhodes' career, he was mediocre. He really was. The greatest thing that he did was be a part of Legacy with Randy Orton and Ted DiBiase Jr. Dashing Cody Rhodes was a fail. Stardust was a mega fail. Yes, that was Vince's idea. But this just proves the point that John Cena also went through having Vince more years than Cody did. And so for Cody to, for the people that support Cody and say, oh, okay, well, he was wasted when he was here. Well, it happens to a lot of wrestlers. John Cena was in WWE way longer than Cody Rhodes was, also dealing with Vince McMahon. And guess what? He wasn't wasted because he's not mediocre. He's one of the best to ever do it. He will go down in history as one of the best to ever do it in WWE. Cody Rhodes, I don't think he will. Cody Rhodes will just be another, afterthought 20 years from now, at least right now. I could be dead wrong 10 years from now before his career ends when he's Cena's age. But as of right now, Cody Rhodes was a guy that really didn't do anything impactful his first 5 to 10 years in WWE. Left. He did help start a company. I think in the promo last night he mentioned something about I started. He didn't start it. It was not funded by him. That was Tony Khan and his dad. And he was only one of 4 that helped start it. He forgot to mention the Young Bucks, and he also forgot to mention Adam Page. He also forgot to mention Chris Jericho really, really helped them get on the map. It wasn't Cody Rhodes. I'm just being honest. Cody Rhodes was a part of the original All In, but when AEW got Jericho, that's when they started buzzing. It wasn't Cody Rhodes. So that was one false statement that he said last night. Among the other thing that I mentioned earlier, where he called Cena, a Vince boy, basically. Cody Rhodes was also hired in the Vince era. He just didn't make it, and I think he's just salty. I don't know. Now, I'm curious if these are written lines, scripted lines. I hope not. I wonder if they're just, if Triple H is letting, hey, Cena, hey, Cody, just write your own stuff and go out there and spew what you want to say to ignite this feud more. And it's partly worked, but I just don't, there's just something missing now with this feud. And what I think it is honestly that even though Cody is supposed to be the face, to me, and I feel like a lot of others, Cena's the more interesting character as the heel. And now you're in this weird limbo of well, do I want to see Cena break the record just to retire shortly after? Or do I want to see the average finish to a Mania where Cody just retains? But it's not, if he retains, it's not going to go down as one of the best Mania main events ever. I really don't think it will. And then here's another example of how Cena just obliterated Cody last night. A longer one right here. I'll read off my laptop while you're reading. It goes on to say, I have worked too damn hard to make that a symbol of mastery, to have it paraded around by a paint-by-numbers, sociopathic Nepo baby who is so into himself he had his wrestling gimmick tattooed on him. He could have even went further and said tattooed on his neck, which was a poor decision. It's one of the worst tattoos in all of wrestling, or just in general. I mean, and I've expressed this dating back to when he got it, when he was in AEW back in 2021, I think is when he got the tattoo. He just took shots, personal shots that are all true. They are all true. Cody Rhodes, to me, he is just an entrance. I mean, the crowd loves his entrance. He's much like Jey Uso. Jey Uso's got a great entrance, but in the ring, he really isn't anything special. He isn't anything unique or something that stands out that we've never seen before. And Cody Rhodes, more or less, honestly, is the same way. I think back to all of his best feuds in the last 5-10 years, and there's maybe a couple that I can think of where he actually carried the feud. Outside of that, everyone else has carried the feud for him, and this is just another prime example. I mean, Cena has cooked him, in my humble opinion. Now, again, this is all just my opinion. Cena has cooked Cody Rhodes in every single promo so far. And then we'll talk about the other few matches leading into Mania real quick. But that's all I really had to say about the Cena and Cody stuff. We had a couple other things happen that, again, just like I said at the beginning of this video, is just falling flat for me going into WrestleMania. You have the women's stuff going on with Io and Rhea and Bianca. It's just a mess. I mean, what are they doing? What was the point of having this title match when we all knew that, okay, it was either going to go to a draw or some interference was going to happen where nobody wins? They weren't going to just, it would have been stupid to have Rhea take the title back. It would have been stupid to have her beat Rhea and then have Rhea just get buried, because I think she is the best thing in women's wrestling for WWE. And then, obviously, like, it was a lose-lose-lose situation, and that's exactly what we saw last night. We saw the match end with interference, and Bianca was just like, you know what? Even though I'm a wrestler and I can take more than a punch, come on, seriously. I'm going to ring the bell, and, like, this whole charade is over. Like, what the fuck was that? Excuse me, saying the F word is a lot, but, like, that's my honest reaction that I had after that. I was like, what are they doing? What is WWE doing? And that's just, okay, that's another complaint. But now we'll get to smaller trickle-down complaints. It's like a domino. I started with the biggest domino, which is Cena and Cody, I think, is just not what it should be. And then we got the Rhea and Io and Bianca stuff next. That's not as big as it should be. And now I'll talk about the next thing. Why in the world, I know it's not the first time it's happened, but why in the world are both Money in the Bank winners not main eventing Mania? Jey Uso has got a thrown together feud with Gunther that I didn't care about until last night, actually. And then we're gonna see the inevitable, probably, with Charlotte winning the title again, which, Jesus, puke. I will metaphorically puke when that happens, because it's probably going to happen. The only shred of decency from last night that got me somewhat excited for Mania was the Jey Uso and Gunther stuff, which last I talked about I wasn't excited for, but that is one thing that I did get right, I think, in my mind, last night on Raw. And I'm going to kind of go off topic here in a second, but they got it right because it really made this feud matter now. We just saw Jimmy get obliterated by Gunther in front of his brother, who was zip-tied to one of the ring ropes. Now, what I was about to get to, I said a moment ago, it's funny to me that the last few WrestleManias now, Road to WrestleManias, last year we saw it, and now this year we're seeing it, where they realize, okay, this feud is not quite falling flat, but it could be a lot better. Let's throw in some brutality. Let's throw in some color. It's almost like the PG era, in my humble opinion, cannot build that like that raw grit sort of feud that you want to see for the biggest show of the year, unless they do what the other promotion does more often. They don't do it all the time. I know people are going to probably say, oh, well, AEW, they have people bleed weekly. They have blood in every single match. No, they don't. I was at the live Dynamite last week in St. Paul. Not one match, not a single match showed color. Not a single match even used a weapon, and it was a great time. But that's not to say that it's needed, because it's in my opinion, like I've said before, TV 14 pro wrestling is just better. These are grown adults, okay? They're not 10-year-old children fighting on a playground. They're not going to use playground insults. They're not going to just shove each other and that be the highlight. These are grown adults that want to beat the shit out of each other in the biggest feuds of the year. And so for Mania to do this, it was a good thing. I agree with it. Bravo. You made me actually care about this feud going into Mania in a couple of weeks now. And you know what? I do want to see the upset. I was actually expressing recently that I didn't think Jay deserved it, but now it has kind of turned into like the ultimate underdog story. He doesn't really deserve it, but it would be a huge upset for him to beat Gunther, and now I want to see it. So that's why I'm giving them their flowers. Bravo WWE. I think as of right now, this is actually my number one feud going into Mania. Cody and Cena kind of taking a back seat to this. Both women's title matches taking a back seat to this. Now we'll go on to other matches thrown together. I guess we're going to have AJ Styles and Logan Paul. I don't care. AJ Styles is almost retired, still good in the ring, but Logan Paul, I've expressed my hatred for the Paul brothers. He's good in the ring, and that pulverizer is, right here real quick. That pulverizer is a good move, but I just don't like the guy, and it's hard to get past both brothers who are honestly just complete pieces of shit outside of, their respected brands that they're a part of. So I really don't care about that match. They had no plans, it seems like, up until a couple of weeks ago for both Rollins, Punk, McIntyre, who else? Damian Priest. All their matches are kind of just randomly thrown together that just feel lackluster. Like I don't know what it is, and I'm rooting for them. I want this Mania to be successful, but if I'm going to compare it to last year's WrestleMania and the year prior, I really think that this Mania is not going to be as good. I think it'll still be fun. It'll still be entertaining. I'll still enjoy it. But I'm just being honest with you guys. I think that this WrestleMania is going to be worse than the last two. That is just my opinion. Again, this was Maverick with Screw the Script. I just wanted to get this out of the way and talk about some stuff that happened on Raw last night and where I think these feuds are going into WrestleMania. Let me know down below if you agree, if you disagree. Hey, that's fine. That's your opinion. And let me know what your favorite or your most excited match for Mania is coming up on this WrestleMania in a couple of weeks. This has been Maverick with Screw the Script. Thanks for watching.